What's going on, everyone? I'm Zero and welcome back to Zero 2, where today I've got another pack preview for you. Maze of the Master is Yu-Gi-Oh's newest side set, releasing on March 14th, 2025, and it follows in the footsteps of previous Maze sets, introducing waves of support for archetypes both old and new. Today, I'll take you through the highlights, going over top cards, sleepers, and just overall fun and interesting pieces of support to get you prepared for the upcoming release. With 112 total cards, the set has a lot to go over, so let's jump into it. Since this is a smaller set, we won't go into the usual top 5 for pack previews of the core sets, and instead do a top 3 in each of our categories. With that in mind, at number 3 we have the new Tachyon cards. They're truly only in the number 3 slot and not lower in the sleepers thanks to one card in particular, the chase card in the set, 7th Tachyon. This spell in particular allows you to reveal a number monster that has a number between 101 and 107 from your extra deck, and add a monster from deck to hand with the same type or attribute and a matching level to its rank. Due to the diversity of monsters available in these slots, the number of monsters you're able to search with this spell is truly baffling. It's expected to become a staple in a number of top decks and fetch a hefty price tag, so keep your eyes peeled for it when pulling packs. The other Tachyon cards really aren't worth talking about, as they likely won't even make a splash in the Galaxy Tachyon deck that they're designed for, but I could see myself eating those words in the future, so let me know down in the comments if you have any cool combos with them. At the number 2 slot I have the new Performage support. While nothing meta-breaking, the new Performages offer the deck a burst of consistency and extension that the deck already had a solid amount of, propelling it into a really solid level 4 and 5 spam deck. They get a Searcher and Fire Dancer, Extenders and Wind Drainer and Cup Tricker, and a Polymerization Searcher and Water Dancer. That is all to boost older Xyzs like Trapeze Magician, but also their new extra deck tools. They've got 2 rank 5s, one is an OTK Machine and Trapeze High Magician, the other allows for staring the board and searching a rank up spell in Shadow Master. Speaking of which, while not technically a Performage card, Rank Up Magical Force is a new quick play rank up designed for the strategy. It allows you to use a rank 4 Magician Xyz in your grave to rank up into a rank 5 Xyz Magician from your extra deck, and the spell also gets attached as material. This makes it trivial to get to your new rank 5s and is central to a lot of your combos. Last but not least, to complement the Polymerization Searcher, they now have their own fusion in Trapeze Witch, which offers protection for all of your Performage cards. I don't expect these to shake up the meta by any stretch, but I do think that you could see people teching these cards in as either an engine or a standalone deck to some success. The number 1 on my list likely comes as no surprise to the fans of the channel, but even with my biases aside, the new Alphabet support truly are the best cards coming out of this set. They provide a whole new level of consistency and combo potential to what is already, in my opinion, a decent rogue option. Building upon their predecessors, there are 3 main deck retrains of the X, Y, and Z monsters from the original show. X Cross Cannon is a fantastic starter or extender for the deck, allowing you to special summon it for free if you control Light Union or Fusion. Then, during the main phase, you get to attach a Light Machine Union to X from deck, meaning that this card by itself can start off all of your combos and can tutor out the pieces from deck that you're missing. Y Yare Head is a Union with a standard Union effect and protection that also, on special summon, can equip a Light Machine Union from hand or graveyard to itself. And lastly, Z Zillion Tank acts as the same as Y, but equips the banishment instead. All 3 lock you into lights from the extra deck, meaning that the ABC strategy is going to change up quite a bit from its previous iterations, so stay tuned for the upcoming deck profile showing off the new strategy. Moving on, the payoff for the new monsters comes from the 2 new fusions that are part of the strategy. Union Controller is a new central combo piece that requires a Light Machine and either the new Y or Z, and on special gets to add a spell trap that mentions a Union monster. This means that Union Hanger is now searchable, alongside some other new cards we'll talk about in a second. But that's not all. Additionally, it has a non-hard once per turn effect that means you can special summon a Light Machine normal or Union from your hand. This means that not only does it search Union Hanger, but it also sets up the Union Hanger effect, basically acting as an all-in-one combo for the deck. Following that up is an arguably and equally broken boss monster payoff in XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon, which requires you to banish the new X, Y, and Z from either field or graveyard to summon, similar to ABC Dragon Buster. Like ABC, Hyper Dragon Cannon provides interruption, allowing you to pop a card your opponent controls as a quick effect on their turn, by discarding a card. Arguably even better, this card allows you to banish itself from field or graveyard, reveal a Light Machine Fusion from your extra deck, and summon back up to 3 of its materials back from banishment. Not only does this provide you some much needed recursion, but this can also be used on turn 1 to set up multiple Dragon Busters and link plays all in one. Last but certainly not least, we have Union Activation, an awkward Rhoda with an equally awkward bonus tribute summon effect. Wacky, but it works, and will play a somewhat pivotal role in the deck moving forward. These cards are truly some custom cards for the archetype, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some experimentation at both the regional and YCS levels of play. I personally can't wait to try them out. Moving on to our next category, we have the sleeper picks. These are archetypes that are getting some support and that I've heard almost no one talk about, or at least brush them off very quickly, and in my opinion they deserve at least someone taking a look at them. Coming in at number 3 on my sleepers list, we have the new Clear World cards. All of these cards aim to revamp a relatively small series of cards from the GX anime centered around the field spell Clear World, which puts debuffs on players who control different attributes of monsters. Since Clear World is reciprocal, all the monsters share the line of text that makes you unaffected by Clear World while you control them. Clear Cube gives you an additional normal and special summons another clear monster from deck when it's removed. Rage Golem lets you attack directly and burn your opponent when you do so. Phantom lets you pitch itself and another card to add 2 Clear World spell and traps from its deck to hand, and pops a monster if it's destroyed. And last but certainly not least, Vicious Knight always gains attack equal to the highest attack monster your opponent controls, and monsters with less attack than himself that are special summoned cannot activate their effects, making him Mystic Mine on legs. They also get a continuous spell that adds a clear monster when you control Clear World, makes it so your clear monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage. And last, while you control a level 7 or higher clear monster, Clear World always applies all of its effects to your opponent, meaning they're constantly under its debuffs. These cards combine for a relatively strong floodgate engine that can seriously disrupt a deck's game plans. I've heard almost no one talk about these cards, so now that you know and are aware of them, you can be prepared if someone happens to bust them out at a locals. Next on the sleeper list, we have the Alert Queen cards. These cards retrain the OG level monsters that are the Alert Queens, who all share the gimmick that they can steal monsters your opponent controls with a level lower than their own, except level 7 who can equip anything. Their new strategy revolves around their field spell, so we'll start there. The field spell Allure Palace is an insane piece of custom support. Firstly, thrice per turn you can discard a card and either add an Alert Queen monster from your deck to your hand, or special summon it to your opponent's field to set up your combos on turn 1. Not only that, but additionally, it adds an effect to all of your Alert Queens, allowing you to tag them out into any Alert Queen from your deck, in a way to circumvent the relatively slow level up mechanic they've relied on before. Another spell that we need to talk about is Allure Dance, which is a rota for any Alert Queen or Allure Palace, and makes it so that your Alert Queens are stronger based on the attack of the equipped monster. If that wasn't enough, you can send any other spell trap you can control to the graveyard to soul charge back any number of Alert Queens from your graveyard. This gives them insane field swarming presence, and to top it all off, they can convert it into their new Link 3 boss monster, Golden Alert Queen, who on summon, the queen gets to summon an Alert Queen from deck or graveyard. It makes all of your Alert Queens quick effects, and when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can destroy a card they control, and it makes all your Alert Queens unable to be destroyed for the rest of this turn. So in essence, it's Orchestrated Babel crossed with Ryzeal Detonator, making it an extremely potent endboard piece. I once again haven't seen much hype online and can't understand what's holding these cards back. Only time will tell if these are even remotely playable, but at such low rarities, I'd keep them on your radar. The best sleeper cards from the set are the Odeon cards. These cards are designed to support and bolster an already existing Apophis trap cards and Temple of the Kings. They've got 3 main deck monsters, a Searcher in Man of the Mask, an Extender in Merciless Scorpion of Circuit, and a Peaceable Consistently and Recursion in Anubis the Last Judge. They've also got 3 new spells, a double searching field spell, a fusion spell, and for Anurai reasons, they got a spell that ties them to the Winged Dragon of Ra. To go along with the fusion spell, they also have 2 new fusion monsters. The better one is Divine Serpent Apophis, who resets all your traps and pops cards when they're activated. The weaker of the 2 is Divine Scorpion Beast of Circuit, who is a battle phase option that can get really big, but let's be honest, is never going to get there. And of course, we've got some new trap cards, but surprisingly, only 2. Verdict of Anubis is a spell trap negate as long as your back row is essentially full. You need to control 3 or other back row. And if you control Temple of the Kings, is also a Regeki with a burn effect. An absolutely crazy card to be certain, and in my opinion is the full payoff to the deck. The second of the 2 traps is also decent. Apophis the Serpent is a trap monster that can set an additional Apophis trap from deck that can be activated this turn. It acts as a body and as a searcher, and is a fairly decent piece of consistency. All in all, this deck is really lacking a solid going first presence, which is a tough pill to swallow as a trap-based deck. But still, you can expect to see someone at locals running this and thus be prepared for it. Moving on to fun and interesting cards, I want to use this section to highlight some cool pieces of support hidden amongst the rest of the set. And while there are some cool reprints like Perulia and the Sword Soul cards, I'd like to focus more on effects that I think are wacky and were useful. Starting out at number 3, we have Antidote Nurse. This is a rank 3 that resets the attack and defense of a card on the field to its original attack and defense. I can see this card having a lot of cool and wacky synergies with cards like Light and Darkness Dragon and other cards that care about modulating attack. A fun card effect with some fun artwork means that I have to highlight it here. Next on the list we have Break the Seal, a piece of Exodia support. This offers a weird way to search Exodia pieces, and while it's far from good, was a card that surprised me most from the set. Definitely deserves a spot on this list. And last but not least we have Trickstar Aqua Angel, which is cool for a few reasons. One, it ties together the Blue Angel lore archetypes, being both a Trickstar and a Marincess monster. And what's more, it's actually good in both archetypes. It's a free extender that also gives you a peek at your opponent's hand, making it a valuable combo piece to use early on to play around hand traps. Definitely a cool card that deserves a quick shout out. And with that, you should now have a good understanding of the Maze of the Master. While this set doesn't introduce anything meta warping like Raziel or Malice, we do get a chance to see some older fan favorite archetypes get some much needed modernization. If you like this kind of content and want to see more, go ahead and hit that like button so I can get that feedback. I also have plenty of other content on the channel, so go ahead and check that out. Maybe subscribe while you're there. We're so close to hitting 100 subscribers, and you can always change your mind later. But with that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you want to see next down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!